Everybody, Andy here again, and to paraphrase Mr. Neville Chamberlain from way back there in the 1930s, I have in my hand a piece of paper. I'm actually going to make that video I've been threatening to make for some time about my 5 years on YouTube, because yes, it's been 5 years. I know we all tend to make anniversary videos, but 5 years is quite an accomplishment in lots of different ways. Over those 5 years, I opened my YouTube account, I think it was the 14th of August 2006, and I checked the other day, and the first video that I actually posted was on the 25th of August 2006. Since then I've posted over 720 videos, and I've worked that out over that 5 year period. That's over 2.5 videos a week. Now I've slowed down a lot over the past 6 months or whatever, and maybe some of the reasons why I will come to in a minute. But that's still, for my mind, that's still a fair amount of videos. People have come, people have gone. That old time of 2006, I still look back at to those sort of early days with a great deal of fondness. But there are still people out there, and I've still met lots of people. And I thought what I'd do is I'd say I've written lots of things down to try and cover everything. This could turn out to be quite a long video, but 5 years is an achievement, I think, for anybody. And I know there's lots of other people who are in a similar position to myself who've been here for that length of time. Where has it taken me? Well, this was really my first real experience of social networking. Yes, and I've said this before, I know YouTube isn't really thought of as a social network, but for me it certainly has been a social network. Maybe it depends on the way that you use the particular website as to whether it becomes a social network more than others. Obviously some are designed purely for that, Facebook, etc., being a great example, but YouTube was never really meant to be that, but it turned into it because of the way that people interacted, especially in those early days, and they still do it now, of course. But how I met people and interacted, and it became a social experience to me. So it was my first exposure to any form of social networking. I've never done anything like that before, and it led me on to the other ones, to the Twitters. It led me on to the Facebook. Yes, I had to be sort of grasped and pulled towards them because I didn't really see the point of either of those two sites. Now I use those all the time. Now I use those generally to the preference of something like YouTube as well. But one of the main things that I've learnt over these 5 years is I've learnt a lot about myself. I've also gained a lot of new skills, a lot of new experiences. I'd never done anything like this before, that I made a video, as the vast majority of people, especially the vloggers, yeah, even if you're just making your own type of video, I don't mean just in a derogatory sense, but even if you're making your own type of videos, you've probably never done that before, and if you did, you never had the avenue to actually show it to other people, to get some sort of feedback, instant feedback sometimes. Yes, I know we've got the trolls and the haters and those sort of people, but we've also got a hell of a lot of very, very good people out there who far outweigh the number of the stupid ones, the trolls, the haters, all those type of people. You can put your work out there, you can experiment, you can try new things, learn new skills with fairly basic technology on your computer or your phone, or even these days, of course, that's sort of come on. I use my iPhone now more than video camera. I can't remember the last time I used my video camera. It tends to be this type of thing, a little webcam stuck in the computer itself, laptop, whatever, or it's your iPhone. It's easy, and we are still really fairly early adopters, and I think that's one of the things that people find that hard to believe. I was having this discussion with somebody the other day, and when I think back 5 years ago, I was making videos and on YouTube, and they'd been going for about a year or so, I believe, then. So I really was an early adopter, especially with the vlogging side of things. It was a completely new thing. We'd had blogging, obviously, and then we transferred and started doing it this way. Blogging is one thing because you still have that sort of certain amount of anonymity, even if you use an assumed name, like I have a username like andymooseman rather than my real name. My face is my real face. Yes, I know people use other disguises or personas or characters or something like that, but the vast majority of vloggers are there. It's them, it's you, me, and you never know who's going to see that video, do you? Whether it be your friends, your family, your work colleagues or something like that. Most of us tended to keep it a secret, certainly. I know I did. So apart from the skills, obviously, that I've learnt a lot through this, through talking, through making arguments, through reasoning, that type of thing, the actual your way that you speak, I have learnt to slow down when I first started doing this, whether it was like a nervous thing or something, I don't know, enthusiasm maybe. I spoke really fast. People used to sort of make fun of that, should we say, and I have no problem with about that at all. And does he ever take a breath and all those sort of things? But that's just the way that I am, I suppose, because this can enable you to put your real self onto a camera. It is a skill in itself, talking to a camera, because you're talking to yourself. There is nobody else out there. I've mentioned this before. It is a bit, in some ways, a bit like being a DJ in a radio studio where you've just got a microphone, and yes, you hope that there are people out there. You might be getting feedback through one way or another, phone calls, etc. But you're talking to yourself, or you're addressing yourself to one person. Some radio stations even have like a little model or something that they'll put in the studio. Right, pretend that's the person. This is your ideal sort of target audience, sort of a 35-year-old housewife with 2 kids and a car and a mortgage, that type of thing. That's the person you're aiming to, and believe me, they do that type of thing. I'm not just making that up. I know stations that have done exactly that type of thing. And that's what it's a bit like for this. You have to think, you never know if anybody's going to watch, especially when you first start, because you've got no idea, have you? My first video, okay, it was a response video, and to somebody who was fairly well known, so you half expecting it to get some views, but you're experimenting, you're putting your toe in the water, because you've got no idea what's going to happen, what the reaction's going to be to anything. So there's all those sort of skills as well, and new experiences that come with that. But one of the main things that's come out of this for me is the new friends that I've met and new friendships that I've made across the world. Whether I've met people or whether I haven't, there are a lot of people who I could still correspond with, either on here, whether it be on Twitter, on Facebook, or even Flickr or something like that. We've all branched out into our own different ways. But people that I've never met, but I feel that I know, either through corresponding because of my videos or their videos or whatever. People that I know that if I did meet, I could sit down and have a beer and a conversation. You've already got that sort of something in common with them, and it's a bit like Twitter now. I've been to tweet ups and things like that. It's the same type of thing, I think, that's come along. It's very sociable, and but with this, you can actually see the person and hear them as well, and get some idea about what that person's going to be like. But obviously, I've been very lucky in that I've made a lot of good friendships, and actually travelled and met people. I know lots of people have done this here on YouTube. I know people who've got married because of people they've met on YouTube. And what more can you say about something than that? If you've done, I know at least a couple of people that's happened to, who form long lasting relationships because of people that they've met through YouTube. Yeah. There you go. As I said, you can't say much better than that, can you? But for me, it's taken me to America a couple of times. I've had a couple of great road trips in America. I went to South Tube, I think it was 2. Was it South Tube 2? I believe, in Nashville. And went to Chicago, met Gary and Mike, and did the road trip and met all those people down in Nashville. Had a great time down there, a great weekend in Nashville, apart from the road trip and everything. And then, of course, last year, some of the same people, Gary and Mike again, but with some new people, Jason and Mike again, obviously, Kurt we met down there, and Ken and Steve and Mark and everybody, So there was a whole crowd of us, but people who we'd all met on here, and we did a great trip, and I would never have met those people if it hadn't been for that. I've met Mike since, with his partner Rich, over here in London. I stayed in their house in San Francisco, letting basically a total stranger into your house type of thing. Met them over here, had a great time. Steve, 21st Century Cat, who I met for the first time at Los Angeles Airport on that trip to California. Met him a couple of times. Last month we met up, was it last month or whatever? We met up again in Bristol, and hopefully we'll do that again. Now, they're people that I consider to be friends, people I would never have met if it hadn't have been for this particular site. As I said, this has led me onto other internet sites, onto other social networking sites, but it's led me down many other paths as well. Some that I'd already started on with music, as I said about the DJing. Yes, I was doing DJing before I started doing vlogging, and the DJing, I think, helped me do the vlogging, but the vlogging has always also helped me do the DJing as well, and the comparing type of things that I've done as well, being able to talk, because this is, in a way, it's talking to public, because you know, especially if you do build up a bit of an audience, the audience has shrunk quite considerably over those 5 years. It's gone up and down, peaks and troughs, but you know that there are always people out there who watch this type of thing and who actually get some enjoyment out of it because of the messages and that you've got. And that's one thing that has really taken me by surprise over the 5 years. That sort of steady stream or trickle, whatever, of people who've got in touch with you, and you may well have had this if you're a vlogger yourself, where people have got in touch with you and told you what your videos mean to them because of the subjects, whether it be a particular subject that you happen to tackle, a particular viewpoint that you put across, or whether it's your photographs or whatever it is, because I do different types of videos, as I'm sure most of you are already aware, but also that you've helped people. As I said, this has helped me, but I know through people that have gone in touch with me, my videos and what I've done has actually helped other people. Now, how would you normally do that? It's very gratifying, and it's certainly helps you and makes you feel a bit better about what you're doing here, that it's worthwhile, but also that people are getting something out of it as well. My style of videos has always been that type of thing, I suppose, trying to encourage people or talk about different things, put out different questions and viewpoints, and get people to think a little bit as well. So the fact that it's done that as well, I would never have knowingly had that. We all touch people in different ways in our lives, but most of the times we never actually find that out. I found that out because of what people have told me on here, as I said, from different countries right across the world, from English students in Colombia to teenagers over here in the UK, should we say. So that's something that I don't think I ever would have done if it hadn't have been for something like this. I mentioned about the social media sort of pioneers, and that's how we were social media pioneers, and certainly vlogging pioneers or video pioneers, and that's really getting bigger and bigger, but we're still experts in our own way. If you're doing this now, if you're making a vlog on YouTube, you are probably an expert in this type of thing, because it's still the vast majority of the population haven't caught on to this type of thing yet. You still get that. You see people holding the camera towards themselves and everyone go, oh, what on earth are they doing? You see it on the news or something, or you see something on the TV, and it's still thought of as a little bit strange. But we know, we've been there, I've been there for 5 years doing this type of thing as well. So it's getting bigger all the time, and one of these days we won't feel like a little sort of outcast and that as well. I've got written here about going up onto bigger and better things. For me, it's opened up lots of different paths and lots of different avenues. It's got me interested in other things as well by doing this, and that isn't just YouTube, that obviously, but primarily that's how it started, as I said, and it's led me on to other social media adventures and getting back into blogs. It's also got me interested in video making itself, and it makes you experiment. That's one of those things, as I said, those skills and the learning process that you can go through. I suppose it depends on the individual as to how you want to do it, but that's what's happened with me. It's led me on to other things, led me on to doing different things, and back into photography and that again as well, making me think about that, and also into other forms of radio, speech type of radio and that type of thing as well, audio booze, all those type of things that you might do, and that's led me on to other things, doing stuff for local internet radio stations, possibilities for other things, some of which come off, some of which don't. As I said, it's led me into photography again, and I've had sort of photographs put here, there and everywhere as well, and the Hastings Pier fire was a great example of how all of this type of thing and what I'd learnt here was all brought down to one day, lucky, if that's the correct term, to be near a major event and being there and videoing it, photographing it, and doing some audio as well, because of this, being able to talk off the top of your head and describe what you're seeing because of the skills that you've learnt here, and then putting that all up there, and then it going all over the place, literally all over the world on websites and news sites, photograph, even put into a book, etc. I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have just gone down and watched, but because of what I'd learnt here and what I'd experiences and all the knowledge, and that maybe that inquisitiveness or that thought, yes, I can go out and do this, I would never have done it without this type of thing either. As I've written down here about a sort of a new way of thinking as well, and other things that it's led me on to, because now I'm in a position. I've always been a big music fan, but I'm actually helping out and managing a local rock band now. That came about mainly because of video, because of my friend who does video. He knew me, my music, he was talking about video, and we were talking about this whole type of thing, the social media experience, and what you can do with social media, and what they call electronic press kits, all tied up with photography, all tied up with this type of social networking type of thing as well. And that led on to other things, and one of the reasons the band asked me to become their manager was partly because of my social media experience, and because of the ideas and thoughts that I had, and the way that I could help them, because, as I said, you're an expert if you're using it. They weren't necessarily using it, so they felt that I knew more about it and had different ideas. Maybe I think about things slightly differently to what other people do. After all, we are all different. But that's another thing. It can lead you on to other things. People ask you your opinion, or ask you to get involved with things. I've had that quite a lot. But another thing that's happened literally recently, I've just been on holiday to Spain, if people have seen the videos, and I mentioned in one of the videos about actually going back and seeing the country at a different time of the year. And I had an idea a few years ago when I was over there to make videos. Well, I was making videos, and as you do, recording videos of the particular property that I was staying in, and thinking, oh, you could use this. This could be an idea to sort of promote the other places that people are trying to get people to rent out, should we say. And I was thinking about this again this year, and another element of it, because of other things that I've learned in the intervening couple of years. And now I've been given the opportunity. The person who owns the property, who I was staying in this year, has asked me to go back. Next year is going to give me a free holiday, 2 weeks in Spain, to go back and make some videos to promote their properties, because they've got more than one property, and try and promote the particular properties out of season. So I'm now, because of this, and it's only because of my YouTube experience, it's mainly to do with video rather than photography, because I made some videos when I was out there last year, just ordinary vlogs, which they saw, which they liked what I did and the style and everything like that, and the photographs that I took as well, which they did use. You can combine them all together, and now they've asked me to go and do that. Now, okay, I should probably go and do that in March or something like that. One of those things that I was only saying in a video I wanted to do, and I've been given the opportunity to do that for nothing because of YouTube, basically, because of the things that I've learned over the 5 years. So that 5 years has it's taken me a long lot of different places. It's taken me a long way off different paths that I never knew I could ever take, and that's probably the same with everybody else. So if you're just starting out, think about that. In 5 years' time, it might even be a year's time. Just think what could potentially come out of it without you even thinking about it. Like most people, when I started on this website, I had no idea what I wanted to do with it. I just started posting videos because that's what other people were doing, and I felt I had a point of view I wanted to put across, or a question that I wanted to answer. And that's where it's led me. It's led me into completely different things. It's changed my life in some ways. My life now is certainly different. Okay, there's other reasons, obviously, that impact your life as to why your life changes, but some of the things that have happened to me, and some of the paths that I've taken, and some of the opportunities that I've been given, and some of the opportunities that I have taken, are mainly because of things that I've done online, social networking wise, but certainly that all comes down to YouTube. That's where I started. So I don't care what anybody says about this particular website. It's done me a lot of good. I've thoroughly enjoyed the 5 years that I've been here. They've certainly flown by. I'd like to thank everybody who's been involved with that 5 years experience, whether they've just been watching videos and never commented, whether they have commented, whether I've met them, whether I've corresponded with them, or maybe now that relationship has moved on somewhere else to Facebook or Twitter, or even in a more personal email style of things as well. Thanks very much for the 5 years. As I was thinking about David Bowie with this song, 5 years, and I wrote a couple of things. It says, what a surprise. Another thing is 5 years, another line from the song, my brain hurts a lot. It certainly does sometimes, and when you think about the possibilities and some of those things that have happened because of this, because of the experiences, your brain can hurt quite a lot. But There are worse ways to get a headache, I suppose. Anyway, thanks for your time. Thanks for the 5 years. Here's to the next 5 years. Thanks very much. Goodbye.